huge pelican, like, it wasn't a pelican, it was a pterodactyl. Two brother-in-laws look at each other and go, did you see that? Here's a follow-up video from one I did before my Florida trip to the Florida Keys. Basically saying what I was thinking about taking, what I was thinking about using on this trip. At this point, we've had the trip. It was fun, it was awesome. We went to a wedding and it was incredible. I'm here to kind of review that video almost and redo it as to what I ended up actually using on this trip, just in case anyone has any of these products and is thinking, what should I take, what should I not take? Because I did have some decisions prior to going, what was going to go with us and what wasn't, because when you're traveling across the country, you can't take everything, though that would be awesome. I'm sure for professional photographers absolutely can, but in this instance, I could not, because I also had kids' clothes and kids' toys and kids' stuff to take, along with my own stuff and wedding stuff. With that said, what I will tell you about all the products you see right here, so we've got Insta360 Flow right here. And it doesn't help that most of these products are black. I'll try and hide them a little bit, but my iPhone. We have GoPro, Insta360 X3. We have my drone, and we have the DJI Pocket 3. And by the way, if you can't see them, fine. I did not take my Sony, which I'm shooting on right now, because too big, too bulky, and I would have needed my Hohem gimbal, and I wasn't really wanting to take that much bulk with me. What I did end up taking, I was happy with, but there's some things here I just didn't end up using. The GoPro. This thing was actually, I knew this was going to go with us, but I knew it was going to be a backup. So if, say, for some reason I messed up the 360, the X3, if for some reason like this got broken or the lenses got cracked or anything along them lines, then this was going to be the backup to really any of them, to my iPhone or whatever it may have been. So this one actually just did not get used. Sorry GoPro, but you were a backup to begin with anyway. The X3, in my initial video, I did not have this. Then Black Friday happened, an incredible deal came out and a lot of accessories that came along with it. So I did end up getting this with the dive case with a whole bunch of selfie sticks and mounts and whatnot. And I did use it a lot. Now, I used it in some situations where I probably shouldn't have, and I'm kicking myself for that, but that's fine, I learned. I used this in as much opportunities as I could because it was new, because I was really wanting to capture the 360 stuff and play around with it. I used it quite a bunch. I used it in the sea, though the beach day that we had, it wasn't kind of ideal, but I did use it. Actually, it was two different beach situations. By the way, I'm wearing my Into Miami shirt. I just noticed. Obviously on purpose, but I forgot to mention it. So it doesn't have Messi on the back, but Florida, Miami Keys, and Into Miami. So the X3 was great for a lot of different scenarios. The time in which I used it, and I shouldn't have, was when the light got real low and it was the wedding evening. I wanted this to be in the middle of the dance floor and just have people having fun and capturing it all, and then obviously being able to go back and reframe it and capture some awesome, fun family moments. So did I do that? Yes. Did the quality of the video, was it as good as I wanted? No. It was very grainy. The quality wasn't that great, visibly poor in terms of quality. So obviously if Insta360 and an X4, give it a bigger sensor, give it a better low light capability, beautiful. But obviously again, it's a action camera, right? So I'm putting it into a scenario that really it wasn't designed for, expecting miracles. The quality just wasn't there, but did I capture fun, cool, happy moments from our family? Yeah, and it did the job. It just didn't look the best, and you'll see some footage of it. But there was that. I used it, and if you like just a restaurant with the bride and groom and me and my wife after everybody else had left, and it was our last evening, our second last evening, and I put this in the middle of the table and got some funny shots and some interesting things with it. So just, I used it in some scenarios that probably shouldn't, that's not really designed for, but the action stuff or the outside stuff on a boat. Oh, okay, on a boat, got some really good shots. It was kind of overcast. It was a sunset cruise and we didn't get much of a sunset because of the clouds. Put the files into the software on the computer, and there's a slider for color boost or color whatever. Put that up and it makes the colors pop, so that the sunset cruise in real life was kind of grayish scenery out at sea, boosting up that color. And you'll see the shots here just look great. I did some slow motion with it. I put it out the side of the boat. But the funny story was we were capturing dolphins, and I put this up on a pole, and there's a dolphin over here, dolphin over there, and I know, it's going to capture that stuff. I didn't really want to use it because when you zoom in, it doesn't look that great either. I caught a bunch of dolphins, and there was one that was really close to us that I'll show you that shot here. That was pretty close. It was about 10, 15 feet away from us. So that one came out really good, and that's the only one I really used. What I thought might be an idea is, don't do this. This was on a selfie stick. I don't think it was this one. I think it was the bigger one. And I also had my three-legged mini tripod that I've used a whole bunch. It's featured in a bunch of videos. So that was my setup. And I thought it'd be a good idea to dip this in the water and put it in front of the boat, in front of its wake, and try and capture some dolphins that were in the water. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool if I could get an underwater shot of these dolphins. So put it in, and then obviously the motion of the ocean pushed the camera almost underneath the boat, and I had to panic and pull it out real quick. And in the panic, the 1/4-20 thread on the bottom of, so the top of the tripod, the bottom of this, where it connects, snapped. Didn't lose anything, didn't lose the camera, it was fine, right? Other than I had a 1/4-20 thread stuck in the bottom that I couldn't get out of the big pole. Wouldn't recommend it, thought it'd be fun to do and try and get a cool shot. And then as soon as I did it, I instantly regretted it. Wouldn't recommend doing it, and almost lost it, could have lost the camera, and I'm happy I didn't. So there you go, I pushed it a little bit. And of course, we like to keep it nice and stored away so that these lenses are nice and safe. So I kept it in either the silicone cover, or when I came home, I discovered this one and I liked it a little bit better because it covers the whole camera, including the screen. Next up would be the Pocket 3. So this one, right in the beginning, when I first got there, like this was my go-to camera, and then I forgot about it almost. I got too engrossed in taking this everywhere that I forgot about the DJI Pocket Camera. So I used this when we first got there. The first couple of days was perfect weather, and I got some really cool shots with this. And then on one of the evenings, we did like a welcome dinner for everyone who was going to the wedding. In that, I did a bunch of interviews with this, where I was just going around asking, people to say nice things about the bride and the groom. I had this little setup, so the microphone, like almost like a TV presenter or whatever on the streets, like, hey, what's your opinion? I had that little setup, and I was getting pictures of the kids and or little interviews of the kids and just people saying nice stuff. So I got a bunch of stuff there, and then I think after that point, I pretty much forgot that I had it, or I just underutilized it. And where I should have used this was when I used this at the wedding reception when it started to get dark, because the low light performance of this is fantastic. It really does well with low light. That 1-inch sensor in here, like how do they get a 1-inch sensor in this little deal? I do not know, but they did it. I should have used it. At parts of the wedding that in a pinch, the photographer had gone, and there was some important parts coming up, and I knew I wanted to put some type of video together for my in-laws. I just grabbed my phone in that instance and handheld my phone, and I basically had like a death grip on it when I was holding it like this, and I had it like in my hand, steady, trying to get as steady a shot as I could of these important moments of the wedding, like the first dances and introducing the bride and groom, introducing the best man and my wife, the maid of honor. No photographer there, no official photographer. She'd left for the day. So I took it upon myself to grab my phone, the only thing I had with me at that point in time, and took it. Now the footage came out cool. I liked the way it looked. I just wished I'd had this at that point for the stable footage, and for it wasn't low light at that point, but it was getting there. And then anything beyond that point where it was dark, also I wish I'd had this. Now I captured some pretty awesome stuff in the dance floor because this was 360 and I could capture the whole scene and go back and edit it in post, but the quality wasn't there, and the quality for this one would have been there. So I just regret that in that instance. And yeah, I look back at my footage when I put it all into DaVinci to start editing a video. I realized I'd stopped using this a couple of days into the trip. Sad that I didn't. Now I did take this on a hike as well, and I had this basically strapped to it was basically here when on my backpack, and then I put it on a tripod a couple of times, did a little bit of tracking with it, but it did really good there. And I did get a little bit of a dink on there from that hike because it took a little dip and hit a rock, but it can't really tell. Underutilized for the trip, but really enjoy the footage that came out of it. I was really impressed with the footage that I got with it. Another one that I thought I was going to use and I didn't, we can fold this one away now. So the Insta360 floor here, I didn't use it. I'm glad I took it. It was basically, you know, same thing actually for the different times I used my iPhone for the wedding ceremony and the party and all that stuff. This would have been good if in a pinch I just had it. But obviously in the wedding scenario, my wife was maid of honor, so she had duties. I had 2 kids that I was looking after, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I was flying my drone to get some aerial footage of the wedding. Didn't realize I was going to be in a position where I was going to be capturing some important moments with the stuff I had with me at that point in time. So had I known, and I could have just grabbed this and put it on here and got the first dance stuff, that would have been an option. But again, ideally, it would have been the DJI Pocket 3 that would have been there at that point in time. Then the last one that I had with me for this Florida trip, my drone. If you haven't seen it before, it's my Air 3. The weather ended up being fantastic up until the wedding, and the very next day from the wedding, it was like tropical storm and raining and windy. And our very last day there was like perfect weather. So I got some cool shots on the days that it was fantastic weather. I got some shots in kind of overcast, windy weather, and it did perfectly fine and actually did really good in the wind. Just nowhere near as much as I wanted. I got some incredible shots of the wedding that I put like a little montage together of just drone footage of the wedding ceremony. And I was off to the side and I was worried about people hearing the drone and, you know, basically ruining the wedding. And it didn't, though it was definitely there and I could hear it. There was a point during the wedding ceremony where I had it at a cool little angle and I could see it. My brother-in-laws were sat in the wedding ceremony looking at the drone, and a pelican, a huge pelican, like the wingspan must have been like 2 to 3 meters. It wasn't a pelican, it was a pterodactyl. It was huge, flew right by the drone and almost took it out. And my 2 brother-in-laws looked at each other and go, "Did you see that?" And they did, but luckily, because of maybe the wind, it wasn't crazy windy for the wedding, but there was definitely wind there that had disguised the sounds of the props, and I tried to stay kind of far back. Had the 3x zoom lens, you know, going, recording as opposed to the normal, so I could get a little bit further back, not intrude in the wedding, as well as get some cool footage. So I put a montage together of just drone footage from the ceremony. Now, I wouldn't recommend drone footage being your only footage of a situation, because though it looks cool, it's obviously, it takes you out of the intimacy of, say, a wedding. But for complementary footage, it's fantastic. So the little montage I put together of just drone footage, I thought looked great. Put it to some music, put it to some music that the bride wanted it putting together too as well. Put it on YouTube, and I think it looks cool, but it's obviously just not, it's not something you'd normally put together if you're putting together. If I was a professional photographer, it wouldn't be the way I would do it. But then within the video, I did end up putting together with all this footage, all the professional photographers' footage from the day, friends, family, people who were there. I basically gathered everyone's footage of the day and put a 20-minute video together of the first night, interviews with everybody, the ceremony, a couple, the boat event that we went to, and then the ceremony and the dancing and the festivities. I put that all together, and then with the official photographers' pictures along with the drone footage, I think that came out really nice, and there was some really nice moments where I could cut to the bride walking down the aisle, and then cutting to a picture from the photographer of like my father-in-law and my new brother-in-law hugging, and cutting to a picture of that, then going back to the drone footage of like the couple at the altar, and then cutting to another picture of that, you know, same scene but from a different angle. So it really worked well as a complementary for that piece, you know, for the wedding. And I'm not an official videographer or wedding photographer, but I wanted to put something together for my in-laws, my sister-in-law whose wedding it was, and my brother-in-law, because I love them so much. And I think that video came out great with all of this footage and all of these things that I utilized for that. So that was what I used all this stuff for. That's what I didn't use on this trip. I just think the X3 is really cool and gives you some really awesome shots. My go-to for most everything going forward is going to be the Pocket 3, and just huge regret I didn't get to use it as much. And in huge regret, I didn't get as much footage of the Keys and Paradise because of the weather and because of how it turned a couple of days in. If I knew we'd have had that chunk of weather, I would have utilized it a lot more and got what I could while it was nice, because the stuff I did get was fantastic. It's just not as much as I wanted. And even just like driving down the Florida Keys towards Key West or towards the 7 Mile Bridge, just being able to get out on the side of the road, put it up and go get some cool footage, that would have been my ideal scenario had it not been crazy windy when we were in them areas. And you'll see from Anne's Beach, which is a really nice beach with a boardwalk there. I got some stuff there, but windy, so not as cool as I wanted, and I was kind of cautious. That is my review of all this stuff for traveling. Any questions, let me know. Hope that helps, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care, bye.